Hey everyone, it's me, Stephanie Nietzsche, and if you have written a book and you're wondering how to get your book inside a bookstore, well, this video here today is for you. Now, I'm going to just share with you how the process was for me and what I did and how I went about it. You are totally free to take any of this information and do what you want with it. You are totally free to take all of this information and do what you want with it, because I want you to have your book on a shelf or a table in a bookstore. So let's start with this. When you look up bookstores in your area, within a certain mile radius, if you don't know them already, you go on the website and you see how they are accepting books for their shelves. Okay, so I did that, and there was only one or two that had a process, and that was sending an email. Now, I don't think it's appropriate to call the bookstore to let them know about your book, because first of all, they could be busy with customers. Second of all, they could be, stocking their shelves and dusting off a spot that may be just for you. So yeah, I would not call the bookstore. I would follow their instructions, if they have any, and fill out the form. And there's plenty of information there that you can give. And then, of course, sometimes they ask for your social media, and they look that up. Then they look on Amazon. They see the cover of your book. Maybe they'll ask you to include a picture. Okay, so now, if there is no process for email and doing it that way, what I like to do is show up at the bookstore with my book, explain to the owner or the person behind the counter that you are an author and you're wondering if it's possible if you can have your books available in their store. So I'm going to give you two examples, because right now my book is in two bookstores and I'm working on more. So one bookstore owner said, leave a copy, which I did. Leave a copy of your book and leave me your contact information. I am going to read the book and see if it is appropriate, if it's suitable, if it's something that I feel, would do well in my store, or I would like my, readers to have a chance to read. Beautiful, perfect. So that's what I did. I left the book, I left my contact information, and what do you know? A couple weeks later, I received a message, hey, I'm interested in having your book in my store. Bring me X amount of copies. Well, that was a fabulous day for me. I loved hearing that. I loved hearing that the bookstore owner read my book and thought my book would be interesting to other readers. So that was a compliment. That was flattering right there. So that's what I did. I went to the bookstore and I dropped off the X amount of copies. A couple of weeks later, I got another email that every author wants to hear. Your book is sold out. Would you be interested in bringing me more copies? I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Would I be interested? I'm about ready to pass out on the floor over here. So that's what I did. I brought more copies of my book to the bookstore. So now once that happens, you have a load of confidence that readers that go to the bookstore are interested in reading your book. So I went to another bookstore and I introduced myself. I'm an author and I have, I've published a few books, and this one in particular, The Wishing Stone, is currently at another bookstore and has sold out. So I was wondering if you would be interested in stocking my book. So after a few questions, we had a little conversation, and the shop owner, showed me their store, which both stores are lovely, by the way. If you have never been in a bookstore, an independent, owned bookstore, I would definitely go in there and check it out, just to browse. I'm not even saying just go in there and bring your book. I would go in there just to browse, get a feel for it, because it's a feeling like no other. I don't care what other bookstore you've been in. If you haven't been in a independently owned bookstore, you don't know what you're missing. So do that. Okay, so after a conversation and I got to look around the store, the owner said, sure, I will stock your book. Okay, so now great. I have my book in 2 bookstores. I'm going to include that in the end and in my comments where my books are located. So now my books, The Wishing Stone, are in 2 bookstores. But I have to remind you, and I cannot say this enough. So I also want to say this though. There are different agreements that you can make with the bookstore. So one agreement is the bookstore may want to buy your book, or books flat out. So be prepared with a price of, what you want the bookstore to buy your bookstore as, and then they're going to price it accordingly, usually to what it, from my experience, from what it sells for on Amazon. So as an author, remember, you want your book in the bookstore. And yeah, maybe, some, want to make some money on the book, but so does the bookstore owner. And they're kind enough to be willing to put your book in their store. So remember that now. They are helping you get your book out, get your book seen, get your name known. I mean, it's a big honor to be in a bookstore. Okay, so that is one way. Maybe they're just going to buy your book, straight out. So have your price ready. You can also have a sheet of prices ready if you have more books. But if you have more books, you may already know this. Secondly, sometimes maybe the bookstore owner wants to work on commission. So that would be 60-40 perhaps, or maybe 50-50, or maybe something different. I don't know. Then also the bookstore owner may say, hey, you know what? I'm willing to put your book or books on the shelf or on the table. Let's see if it sells. And then we go from there. So really, it is the agreement that you make with the bookstore owner, what you're comfortable with, what they're comfortable with, and then you go from there. Okay, so that's how that goes. Also, you are responsible still for marketing your book. Just because it's in a bookstore, just don't leave it and forget about it, because the bookstore also would like some help in advertising their bookstore. So you need to share the fact, make a big, huge announcement that your book is currently in a bookstore, available in a bookstore. Shout out the bookstore, give the address of the bookstore. I mean, you should really go inside and shoot a video of the bookstore and show what else is available, because it's really not about your book. It's about the bookstore. It's about the readers. It's about all the books in the store. And now your book is a part of all those other books in the store. So please do not forget, I thought my laptop died there. Please do not forget to share the location, the name of the bookstore, take some pictures. I mean, make a big, huge event about it. Make some reels, make those posts, put it in your stories. Every once in a while, shout out that bookstore. And when they have an event, when they have something going on, even if it has nothing to do with your book, share it. Shout out that bookstore. Tag that bookstore. Let other people know in those areas and everywhere that there is a bookstore that they may not know about. And the icing on the cake is your book is in there. Okay, so I hope that helped. If you are an indie author, there are ways to get your book inside of a bookstore. And that's what I did. And I'm going to keep on going to other bookstores and see if I can. So far, I haven't been denied. And I'm going to keep on going to bookstores and seeing if I could get my The Wishing Stone, my book, The Wishing Stone, on their shelf, on their table. It's a perfect time of year also for this book because it takes place in Memorial Day weekend, or a little before Memorial Day weekend. And that's the holiday that we're in right now. So it is definitely a summer read, something that readers would enjoy in the summer, or really any time of the year, because we have those beach lovers and they got to get through winter and they really don't want to. So why not read a book that is set in Montauk in the summer? Okay, everybody, I hope that helped. If your book is already in a bookstore, I would love to read about it in the comments. Tell us what bookstore it's in. Tell us how you went about getting your book in a bookstore. And if you know something that I haven't mentioned, please share it with other authors. We're in this community together. There's plenty of books. I mean, readers read books and then they need more books and they need more books. So it's not just about our book, just our 1, 2, 3, 4, how many ever books we've written. It's not about that. It's about helping each other as a community and helping shout out those bookstores too, because it's hard nowadays. Everything is so expensive. So I can only imagine what the rent of a bookstore is to have that spot. And we need these independent bookstores. We cannot have them be pushed out. So help them out. And even if your book is not in the bookstore yet, share their posts, share their reels, go visit, buy a book, give them business. Independent, small business owners. Let's support each other.